All right. Boom, boom, boom. Millennial Monday. How we doing? Get it in view. How are you? What a weekend, right? I know at my house, people were throwing up. My daughters were sick. My wife was sick. Everybody was puking. It was that kind of weekend. And it feels like this morning that it was that kind of weekend in America. With the travel ban that was issued, there's protests at airports, and you can't go on social media without having to navigate and find your way through all sorts of frustration and yeah, rhetoric on a lot of different fronts. So here's what I want to say. In the midst of that, I see something really beautiful. And you might laugh because I'm an optimist, but here's what I see. There is some ground right in the center of all this craziness where we are seeing a heartbeat of a lot of people who are coming out and saying we agree in standing for people who are marginalized and oppressed and victimized, both in our nation and around the globe. That is a really, really, really powerful moment. And I just want to freeze, pause for a second, and say, even though there's a lot of debate to be had and a lot of discussion to be had, pause for just a second and recognize the fact that people who have been going to church for 87 years and reading texts and scriptures about being for the marginalized and the oppressed, and that God is a just God. People have been celebrating that for a long time, going to church, enjoying that, and then going out to biscuits and gravy and whatever after church. That population of our country that believes so strongly in those values is actually saying the same thing as very progressive folks from all sorts of different backgrounds, both saying the same thing on this issue. Nobody disagrees on that. That's pretty cool that we are seeing a conversation where there is actually ding, 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 some common ground. Now, there's all sorts of uproar about what comes next, but I want to back us up and say, grab that common ground. Don't lose that. Celebrate that. That's awesome. We could be having a totally different conversation. We could have, for those of you who are upset about the dissenting voices and the protests at the airport, I just want to say, first of all, we could be protesting about a lot of other things, but people are expressing passion and resolve and commitment for oppressed, marginalized, victimized people. That's pretty awesome. I think a great thing to do is to say, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. When something touches the center of our consciousness, and what's in there is we want to be for people who are marginalized and oppressed. That's pretty cool. So I think we can find some common ground, and I just want to give my 2 cents about it this morning. Not that anybody needs it, but here's something to keep in mind, especially for us in the younger generation, the millennial generation. This is for you. Anytime we're navigating a highway where there's a lot of different risks and obstacles and challenges and all that, which is life, driving down the road, not everybody's going to agree, and that's a good thing. Not everybody is going to go your way, and we don't get separate highways. We're all driving on the same highway, and we share that road. And so there's going to be a lot of different ways to navigate that road. How do you be a safe driver? How do you safely navigate not only life, but conversations, the Facebook conversations, the Twitter conversations? How do we do that well and respectfully and humbly at the same time that we're being bold and we're speaking the truth in love? There's something to think about, just an idea that I want to plant out there. In this idea of traveling a highway, traveling together with people who don't agree with us all the time, recognize this. Number one rule of safe driving, I don't know if it's number one rule, but it's a good rule of safe driving. Check your blind spots. We've all got them. So check your blind spots. We all come from different backgrounds, different, we use the word bias and we throw that around anymore, but it's true, right? Depending on your experience, if you grew up in a military family and you served overseas and you saw certain things, you're going to think differently about issues. That's true. If you were raised in rural America on a farm in a town of 200, in a flyover state, you're going to have that in your background, and that's good. The inner city perspective, the global perspective, the company that has employees in 73 different countries, that's good perspective. And we're navigating together, and all of us have our blind spots where I might have phenomenal security perspective, and a perspective on vetting refugees, and a perspective on the risks associated with bringing in large amounts of people, whether it's to the state fair or to your country or whatever. There's people out there who think very carefully about those things, and they see things that we don't see. On the other side, there's people who have spent time being welcomed and being cared for populations of the world that some people have never even heard of. And they've experienced grace and hospitality. There's people who have worked hand in hand with refugee families in our country, and they know their stories personally. And they have a perspective that that other camp may not have. That's why we need each other. The head can't say to the heart, I don't need you. The hands can't say to the head, I don't need you. The heart can't say to the head, I don't need you. We need all of those perspectives, and we've got to be able to come around a table and have a conversation. So that's what I want to advocate. You might be the head. You might be the heart. I'm a heart guy. You might be the hands. We need each other, right? Get around a table. If you're feeling like I am and you're stirred up about this, invite those different perspectives to the table. See if you can reach out and find somebody who has a head perspective or a heart perspective or a hands perspective, the one that's different, and try to identify and see where your blind spot is, that part where you might pull quickly into the right lane or the left lane and totally cut someone off or totally cause a total disaster, and avoid that. Check your blind spot. Acknowledge you've got a blind spot. Find people who see that part that you don't see. They're like the mirror, the little dome mirror where objects appear closer than they seem. That's those people that we need in our lives so that we navigate safely and we all get to this common destination. So I think it's cool that around the nation we're seeing such a powerful voice for people who are marginalized and oppressed and needing a tremendous amount of help. That's cool. What's not cool is when we back away from the table and we don't engage dialogue and we shut the other side out. Whether it's people in office who are saying, I don't want to listen to the other side, we're just driving our agenda, not good. Whether it's those of us who are in the street who are saying, those people don't understand us, we're just going to drive away from the table, can't do it. Even if it's our natural reaction. So a dissenting voice is good, conversation is good, but remember, check your blind spot. The way to be hip and wise, the way to be a more thoughtful and compassionate generation is to recognize the head's got to have the heart's got to have the hand. We've got to do it together. And I don't know particularly what part you play, if you're a head, heart, or hand side of the body, but we need it all. And so hearts bleed, and heads think, and hands act. But let's do it together. Body moving. Beastie Boys, right?